A lovely morning to you out there from wherever it is you're watching us from. You're welcome to Aso Morning on Aso Television from Katampe Hill, where you find the geographical center of Nigeria. My name is Osman Katun Umar, welcoming you on board. As usual, we have segments lined up for you on this show this morning. We will have our newspaper review segment where we take a look at the stories that made front pages of some of our national dailies with a view to, of course, discussing and explaining some of them to enhance our understanding of the issues behind the news. Thereafter, we will go join Dr. James Komalafe and his team, aka Dr. Long Life, for the behavioral check segment, where we gather some tips on how to manage our health, especially mental health, physical health, as well as spiritual health, as Dr. Long Life will put it. Definitely, we will have our interview segment today. Of course, recall that every January 30th is commemorated globally as World Neglected Tropical Diseases Day. Set aside to draw attention to some very deadly diseases that are found in tropical countries, and that is particularly third world countries, poor countries, the ones suffering these diseases, and they have been claiming lives over the years. Today is set aside to, of course, shine the torchlight on these diseases. We started yesterday. We will continue the conversation today with a team of health experts who will be joining us on the interview segment of the program. Thereafter, we will then go join the Investment Plus team to, get those tips that will make us financially wiser through effective financial management. That segment is very important, particularly in this very hard economic times that we are in. It's good for us to know how to manage the little that we have in the face of crazy inflation numbers. That will be it on the program. But of course, for now, we will go on a short break. When we return, it will be time for us to take a look at the front pages of some of our newspapers in the newspaper review segment. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
You're welcome back from that short break, and this is the time for us to commence the newspaper review. And the first paper we're taking a look at this morning is Nigerian News Direct. Nigerian News Direct is leading this story from the economic sector. Forex backlog, CBN, that is Central Bank of Nigeria, pumps additional 500 million US dollars. Forex backlog, CBN, that is Central Bank of Nigeria, pumps additional 500 million US dollars. This has been a response to the forex crisis in the economic financial sector, and federal government over the months has been doing its best to bring some form of stability, especially as naira continues to weaken against the dollar in both parallel and official market rates. Whether this is the way to go. Of course, recall that CBN had at a time floated the naira, and that was supposed to achieve some level of stability and give naira some level of muscle. But of course, in the face of rising inflation, highest in a record time, definitely what you expect is that every effort that government is making in that aspect is being neutralized, so to speak, by high cost of living. The price of everything has gone up, so the demand for more and more naira keeps getting higher also, and definitely whatever effort that is being made is appearing as if government is doing nothing to save the naira against the muscular and very powerful US dollars, which, as we will get to read in one of the papers, naira is now trading at around 1,420 naira to $1. Of course, we've passed through this phase before, shortly before this administration came in. Then we thought that with some of the economic measures being put in place by the Central Bank of Nigeria, naira will gain some level of strength. It did, but gradually and painfully so, it's losing its strength against the dollar every day. Now, what we get to see here that in the unofficial market, naira is now trading at around 1,420 or more against one United States dollar. So, what this $500 million clearance of clearance of the backlog by the CBN will do to this, in this regard, will be a matter of time for us to wait and see what happens thereafter. But economists, economic experts, economic experts have consistently advocated for fixing certain basic things, including improving the purchasing power of Nigerians. If the purchasing power of the citizens is improved, definitely it has ripple effect on the overall economy. A situation where someone who 2 years ago earns, say, 60,000 naira per month, and we all know what this money is used for, which is to buy mostly food items, pay school fees, pay rent, pay for transportation. Now, 2 years down the line, he hasn't witnessed any increase in his income, which is still static at 60,000 naira. But now, what he used to spend 20,000 naira to do 2 years ago, he will need more than 40,000 naira now to do. So the reality is that wherever people will get naira, they will definitely scrabble for it. And this is one of the simple reasons why every effort government is making seems to be as if government is doing nothing in the face of this economic hardship. Money now becomes like air. Once you have 100,000 naira now, just spend 1,000, 5,000 out of it, and the rest is gone in a matter of seconds. You hardly can even keep track of what exactly you do with that money. 100,000 naira now is now like 10,000 naira. So these economic realities are making government's efforts to strengthen the naira against the dollar look as if government is doing nothing. So we must go back to the drawing board where we take a look at some of these basic things. The purchasing power of Nigerians is critical, both in the formal and non-formal sector. Before, if you are a mechanic and how you survive is when people bring their vehicles for you to repair. Now the vehicles are parked because even when they are faulty and they are supposed to bring to you, it's not as if they don't want to, but because they can't afford to bring them. Spare parts have also increased prices and all of that. So all these things put together makes, nonsense, or so to speak, of government effort in stabilizing the naira. Manufacturers Association of Manufacturers just last week threatened again that they would increase cost of their products also if nothing is done, because mathematically you can't spend 100 naira in producing something and then come and sell it at 98 naira. You have to up your mark, and to up your mark means that you want to make profit, and that again in translation means that the person who used to purchase it at the 98 naira will have to look for an additional 2 naira to make up. So these little things that you don't even require big economic grammar to understand what's actually going on. So every effort that government is making, injecting naira, clearing forex backlogs and all of injecting forex into the forex market, clearing backlogs and all of that, seem not to be working as it were. Even though of course it is what is slowing again, so to speak, the further decline of the naira, weakening of the naira against the dollar. In reality, to the average Nigerian, things are definitely going south. We only hope that every effort that government is making, particularly with the recent passage of the budget, and we expect that activities will commence, government spendings will commence this January in earnest. This will bring some level of calm to the very turbulent economic sector of Nigeria. Now looking above the masthead of the Nigerian News Direct, you have Diaspora Investment Scheme. Optiva Capital fails to follow due process. NIDCOM insists. This is a brewing disagreement between NIDCOM, that is Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, and a company called Optiva Capital. I think this involved some type of contract execution, and now NIDCOM has before now said the company did not follow due process, and it's still insisting that it did not follow due process. Detail of this can be found inside the pages of Nigerian News Direct. Now, appointment. Rivers Assembly accused Fubara of tyranny, misconduct. Detail is on page 3. This is still some fireworks coming from the Rivers State political saga. Of course, it is not yet uhuru for the governor, even though the Supreme Court has affirmed him as the duly elected governor of the state in the just concluded election. The State Assembly, which has been his nightmare, so to speak, now back and are sitting. And of course, the governor made a raft of appointments and all of that. The Assembly is now accusing the governor of some form of misconduct and tyranny. Whatever these things mean, tyranny, misconduct, whatever, is in the interpretation of the members of the Rivers State Assembly, and it is left for them to take action in accordance with the stated extant rules and regulations in our law books. What we don't want is for people to resort to violence, resort to disturbing public peace and all of that. As long as due process is followed, I think even people of River State will be fine with this. But at the end of the day, the interest of the common people of Rivers should be paramount as against the interest of the few elected individuals into the State Assembly, or even the governor himself. So we will continue to hope that this political crisis is laid to rest as quickly as possible, so that the governor has only 4 years to perform, and if he has to spend more time trying to defend and protect his seat, the people will suffer for it, because what will be left for him to do will be very, very little by the time he realizes it. So in the interest of the people of River State, we hope that the political gladiators in this saga sheath their sword, so that the people of River State can begin to enjoy the dividends of democracy, which they hoped in the first place, and then cast their votes for their preferred candidates. It shouldn't be that people would just, prioritize their own personal interest as against public interest, because this is what is playing out. If it were for the interest of the people of Rivers who voted for these political gladiators, this crisis shouldn't be where it is today. But this is Nigeria, this is our politics. Personal interest above public interest all the time is always our albatross in our political space. We hope that this is resolved as quickly as possible. Remember that we have a peace accord standing, signed between the governor and his political enemies, quote and unquote. They have signed a peace agreement to ensure that peace is maintained in the state. Moving ahead, federal government to constitute 37-man committee on minimum wage today. Yes, we did flag this yesterday that the federal government has already concluded plans. Even members of the committee have already been nominated, and the committee will be inaugurated today. Now, we did talk about a while ago about improving the purchasing power of Nigerians. Now, upping the minimum wage to reflect the current economic reality is one way to go. The president said it, that he understands what Nigerians are going through, and as a way of cushioning the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy, it will be followed with a review of the national minimum wage, which for today, as of today, stands at 30,000 naira, which with all sense of responsibility is far from adequate. Therefore, this 37-man committee that will be inaugurated today will have to take a look at all factors, including affordability, because it's one thing to just mention that, yes, we have upped the national minimum wage by so and so percent. It's another thing for the federal government and state government, including the local government, to be able to follow through. Like we said yesterday, it is not just enough for the federal government to be able to handle its own staffers, that is, to be able to pay federal government employees. The state governments will also have to be, in a way, one way or the other, forced or coerced or, lobbied to also key in, because it's not just federal government workers that we have in Nigeria. In fact, there are very few compared to civil servants at the state and local government level. And these are all Nigerians who are experiencing the same level of economic hardship as those who work for the federal government. And that's why this issue of salary disparity among agencies of government is still another issue. I remember in the twilight of the outgone administration, there were efforts to unify, especially federal government salaries, so that whatever agency, whatever government office you find yourself, you are comfortable that it's the same salary that you are receiving with anybody anywhere else. Not that because you are working in one commission and another person is working at another office, and you are on the same grade level, then that person is living larger than you by virtue of what he earns, either in allowances and all that, or salaries. So, and it's the same federal government level that you're working for. So this salary disparity is another thing that this committee should also be able to look at, so that at the end of the day, Nigerians truly feel that they are equal, not that some commissions, because it's largely the guilty parties here are usually the commissions. Talk about NCC, talk about NERC, all this commission you hear. When you see their salary packages or the coupled with their allowances, you will understand why it's only certain characters that gets appointed or that gets employed in such places, while others can go and look for their own opportunities elsewhere. So this disparity, it's another thing that I will expect that this committee should also take a look at down to the state level, to find a way that the state government will be, it will be binding also on the state government to implement this, because we still have states who dragged before they were able to come to terms with paying the 30,000 naira national minimum wage, years after it was approved and federal government started paying. So if you have such a situation, the country will definitely, run into crisis. But like I said earlier, it's not just enough to increase salaries. IGR of states and the federal government must also be improved so that there will be sustainability. Whatever is not whatever policy that the sustainability plan is not imbued into it is as good as failed even before it starts. So sustainability is key, and one way to ensure sustainability is for both from federal, state, and even local governments to begin to find means of enhancing their IGRs. Because if you can't enhance it, if your IGR is not the major source of your expenditures as a government, then you have a problem. If you have to continue relying on borrowing or international aids and interventions here and there, then definitely you are not ready. You are not practically ready. So sustainability plan must also include improving and enhancing the IGR of the paying states, even the federal government. The committee will be inaugurated today. We hope that the characters that make it up, I think there are about 6 state governors that are members of this committee, which is good representation because we have 36 states in the country. So let's have good representation so that whatever decision that is taken by this committee and the report is finally submitted should be binding on even all the governors, and especially the local government chairmen. Largest LNG-powered vessel berthed at Lekki Port. Largest that is liquefied natural gas-powered vessel berths at Lekki Port. Detail of this is on page 3. 4 days after kidnap, Lagos PDP chairman regains freedom. Congratulations to him and his loved ones. May we not experience this anymore. EcoBank rewards customers with up to 9% interest rates. This is some jolly good news for those who bank with the bank. Next paper we're taking a look at this morning is the Leadership newspaper. Quickly, the Leadership newspaper is leading with this story. Tenure limit. Bank insurance chiefs dodge regulatory acts. Tenure limit. Bank insurance chiefs dodge regulatory acts. That is details on page 4 with riders. Create holding companies to retain power, influence. They are building supermen, not institutions, experts. It's to expand operations and revenue streams. Of course, we know that the Central Bank of Nigeria recently mold the idea of recapitalizing the commercial banks in Nigeria, and also some reforms that are ongoing. Insinuations were that some bank chiefs, that is heads of banks who are supposed to have retired, found ways of not doing that, who are supposed to give way for others, found ways of not doing that. This report is taking a look at some of the methods and steps that some of these people have taken. But of course, whatever it is, we hope that the CBN sits tight and ensure that the right things are done, because it is the bankers' bank, the chief regulator of the banking sector of Nigeria. And if the CBN goes to sleep on its duties, Nigerians suffer in that regard. So definitely the CBN cannot afford to go to sleep on its duties in this case. Banks need to be properly regulated, especially in these very interesting times that we are in. Now let's first of all take a look at above the masthead of the Leadership newspaper. AFCON, Peseiro warns Eagles against complacency. Of course, Jose Peseiro is the coach of the Super Eagles, who had to beat Cameroon 1-0 in the last match to be able to qualify to the round of 16. And they are meant now to face Angola on 5th of February, that is Friday. So that we hope that they listen to the Super Eagles listen to the coach, because complacency is one thing that you can't afford, especially at the knockout stage of any competition. That you've won your match and you've qualified to the knockout round should not be a ground for complacency. You go to sleep, of course you get kicked out. We saw how yesterday, despite in fact the ones favored to win this tournament back-to-back, Senegal, who are the defending champions, we saw how they were dramatically kicked out of the tournament yesterday by the host nation. That's one match that is it is worth rewatching, so to speak. And that's one of the big surprises that the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast, Abidjan, is throwing up. So many surprises. The teams that did not perform well, especially at the group stage, we are seeing how they are now, flexing muscle and are knocking out supposed giants in the tournament. So the knockout stages will continue today. We hope, of course, continue to see fair play and all of that. But one thing that I can't let go without mentioning is FIFA's invitation of Osimhen for drug test after Nigeria's match against Cameroon. The young lad performed so much like a machine that the tournament organizers are left with nothing but to suspect the young man to be under some form of influence. But we trust our boy. We trust the Napoli prince. He will come out clean and, of course, face Angola so that the country will continue to rally round behind the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I have no apologies for being a fan. Of course, I'm a Nigerian. I can hardly be able to support any other team. I may like some teams, but of course, my vote is on Super Eagles to take and lift this AFCON, hopefully. Next story, Shatima seeks help on job creation, food security. Of course, the VP is in Davos, representing the president in at the World Economic Forum, and part of the issues that the VP tabled is on job creation and food security. Of course, food security is a threat, a very real threat, because those who over the years have been laboring to ensure that we have sufficient food in the country haven't been able to do so due to, of course, insecurity. They couldn't go to farm, and therefore we are short in production, and this means that we are short on the amount of food available for Nigerians. So we now mostly have to rely on importing some of our staple foods. This is one of the issues that the Vice President tabled before world leaders and economic powers in the ongoing, at the World Economic Forum held in Davos. Of course, there are a couple of other stories. You have Supreme Court verdict, no deal with presidency. This is coming from Kano Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of the New Nigerian People's Party, who the Supreme Court affirmed his election as the duly elected governor of Kano State. Some political opinions that the governor entered into some form of, a deal, so to speak, political deal with the presidency. But the governor is coming out to say there is nothing like that. Detail of this is on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. Governor Sule disowns Mieti Allah vigilante outfit. Governor Sule, Engineer Sule, is the governor of Nasarawa State. Recall that Mieti Allah announced formation of a vigilante group in the state some weeks back. The governor, that has actually been an issue because the DSS had to pick up the man behind that organization. And the governor is now coming out to say the state government is not aware and is not in support of such an outlawed outfit. Whatever is to be done in the process of helping the conventional security agencies must be done with due process. Of course, people have been arguing about the existence of Amotekun and ESN in the southwest and southeastern part of the country. Well, the legality of such such organizations can't be questioned, because we saw how the state governments of those regions rather came out in support of the group, and therefore you can understand that there is some level of control and regulation. But when the state government is not in support or is not aware of your existence as a group to do something as sensitive as security, then there is a problem, and you can't begrudge the governor for coming out clean on this. Not that the vigilantes are not needed, but if they must be established, there must be obedience to extant rules and regulations, such as profiling those personnel to be recruited and all of that, so that, as the Minister of the FCT consistently says, you must profile people that you are bringing in as vigilante, so that you don't end up recruiting the same problem that you are trying to avoid. You don't go and employ someone who is already an informant to criminals as a vigilante. You have given him power. You have given him some level of leverage to do his very bad duty of being an informant to criminals. So profiling is very key, and this can only be done when it has government backing. Government must back you before you can be able to establish any form of security outfit, be it vigilante by name or whatever. INEC conducts rerun by-elections in 26 states this Saturday. Detail is on page 6. Of course, INEC still have some leftover elections, by-elections, rerun elections in 26 states of the Federation. All of this, the commission has come out to say, will take place this coming Saturday. Gunmen killed 2 traditional rulers in Ekiti. Yes, we saw this unfortunate story. It came out yesterday on the social media platforms and was confirmed to be true. There are 2 Ekiti monarchs. In fact, ironically, they were coming back from a security meeting. You can imagine. They went to attend a security meeting, and on their way back, they got waylaid, and in the process of kidnapping them, they were killed. This is sad. I mean, very, very saddening. And the country continues to move on as if everything is normal. This is not normal. This is not normal. Something has to be done, and urgently so. And we pray that may the souls of the departed rest in peace. Of course, moving on. Explosive kills 7 farmers, injures 7 others in Borno. Explosive kills 7 farmers, injures 7 others in Borno. This is aside the 6 Islamic Islamic students that were killed on Saturday by the same undetonated explosive. This is now becoming a trend where the terrorists go to strategic places and plant mines. This is a very dangerous trend. Especially, we are told about their tactics of planting mines along the Damboa-Maiduguri Road highway, which is a highway applied by the governor and other important and other members of the public. And this is just yet another very saddening story of people being killed by the mines planted by the terrorists. But we had thought that the relative peace that we have been experiencing, especially in the northeast, will cut. Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune, of course, has this promotional promotional story on the activities of Jimo Ibrahim, who has been going around communities spreading the Tinubu's renewed hope message. He was in Ondo State. He went to about 203 wards of the state to promote the message. You see the pictures there, and of the man himself at the middle holding the microphone. Above the masthead of the Nigerian Tribune, Forex backlog. Experts weigh in as CBN releases $500 million to various sectors. Naira hits record low of 138.63 naira to $1 at official market. At official market, 134.63 naira to $1 at official market. Now you can just begin to imagine what it will be like at the unofficial market. Impeached Ogun Speaker, others arraigned over alleged 2.5 billion naira fraud. Impeached Ogun Speaker, others arraigned over alleged 2.5 billion naira fraud. Detail is on page 17 of Nigerian Tribune. Suspected kidnappers killed 2 traditional rulers in Ekiti. And that's the much we can take on from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. We now quickly move over to the Daily Times. The Daily Times is leading with the story from the CBN. CBN injects $500 million to clear forex backlogs as naira sinks to 1,455 naira to $1. Government urged to sell moribund assets to raise needed forex. Of course, scarcity of forex continue, and basic economics. When something is scarce, the price goes up. But we know that there are steps that government can take. We've talked about this a while ago. There are steps that the government can take in addition to clearing these backlogs and all of that. Federal government seeks support in food security, job creation. This is the VP's outing at the ongoing at the World Economic Summit. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Binani's appeal against Governor Fintiri. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Binani's, that is Aisha Binani, the opposition Guba candidate of APC, against Governor Ahmadu Fintiri of PDP in Adamawa State. EFCC arraigns impeached Ogun Speaker, 2 others for alleged 2.5 billion naira fraud. Poor visibility, NCAA cautions pilot airlines. Detail of this is on page 14 of the Daily Times. Daily Times is making its debut today on Aso Morning. Congratulations. Now quickly we move to the next paper for the day, and that is the Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint is leading with this. Terrorism war. Dominant operatives kill 30 bandits, rescue 40 abductees. With rider Katina, Abuja residents celebrate hell development. FCT police bust kidnap syndicate, set victims free. Of course, we hear from the defense headquarters yesterday that a combined team of Nigerian security personnel were able to kill 30 bandits, and from 40 abductees were rescued. You remember that the family that was kidnapped somewhere in Buhari some weeks ago that regained their freedom, of course, mentioned that there are a number of unreported cases of kidnapping, meaning that the people they found in the custody of these abductors are many. So when we're hearing that 40 people were free, that means, and we didn't even hear of their kidnap. So that confirms the story of these released victims, because if you can have 40 people in captivity, where were they? How were they kidnapped? We never got to hear that in the news. But of course, kudos to the dominant security operatives who were able to lead that operation to free these very innocent Nigerians. At the end of the day, we know that truth will always triumph above evil. There is no way that evil will last forever. Truth will always triumph. And part of truth being triumphant is that those who perpetuate evil will definitely have their day, either in the hands of security operatives or in the hands of the Almighty who made us all. Gaza, Biden vows to respond as U.S. records first military death. Gaza, Biden vows to respond as U.S. records first military death. Other stories: minimum wage, federal workers kick, Tinubu inaugurates committee today. Minimum wage, federal workers kick, Tinubu inaugurates committee today. We won't extend ultimatum, says workers forum. We won't extend ultimatum, says workers forum. Details of all of these can be found on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper for today. 2.5 billion naira fraud. EFCC arraigns impeached Ogun Speaker, 2 others. Fear of investors over repatriation may halt FDI, that is foreign direct investments. This is according to a report. This report is on page 19 of the Blueprint newspaper. And finally, Voice of Nigeria Institute of Public Relations partner to change negative perception about Nigeria. We wish them well and hope that they will be able to launder the image of the country going forward. Quickly, we take a look at our next paper, the Daily Sun. The Daily Sun today is leading with this story. Students abroad groan as forex rate rises to 1,420 naira to $1. Students abroad groan as forex rate rises to 1,420 naira to $1. With rider pound sterling rate hit 1,775 naira. CBN released additional $500 million to settle forex liabilities. These are still some of the fireworks that are still coming out of the, very uneven fight, so to speak, boxing match, if you like, between the naira and other foreign currencies, particularly the dollar and the pounds. 1,420 naira to $1. 1,775 naira to $1, 1,775 naira to £1 sterling. That's quite something. And you can now understand why students abroad who need this forex for their traveling and all of that have to groan, and they are really, really complaining. It's biting hard on everyone. So if the poor think that the inflation is biting hard on them, this is another area where, of course, the rich are also not smiling. And we hope that with the new efforts by the CBN and the government generally, particularly, let's get the involvement of the state governments also. Production, manufacturing. These are the key areas where, for me, I think from my own little understanding of how things work, can give us that space to breathe. We must focus on manufacturing. We must focus on production, agriculture, manufacturing, inventions. We have young, skilled, vibrant youth who the only thing they require is an enabling environment with support, and they will be able to begin to do wonders in our economy. If we neglect them and we continue to chase other aspects, definitely now and even in the long time we'll continue to pay for it. So all this shout about hard economic terms and realities and all of that, if we pay attention to manufacturing, production, inventions, definitely in a few years to come we'll begin to see the easing of these very, very hard economic times. And it's on this note that we'll have to draw the curtains on today's edition of Newspaper Reviews on Aso Morning. We will go on a short break to go join Dr. James Komolafe and his team to get to listen or watch what they have for us on the behavioral check segment. Do grab your pen and your notepad, because the Dr. Long Life always have some tips for you to keep you mentally, physically and spiritually healthy. Let's go join him.
Wow, great to meet you here on this platform again. Dr. James Komolafe from Saba Resources Intervention Hub, Fatima Plaza, Wuse Zone 2, Abuja. This is episode number 6 on sudden collapses. Sudden collapses, you call it, mind you, it is not sudden. It begins from a process and ends as a crisis. So what we do on our platform and hub is to engage with you to ensure that you don't get trapped into sudden collapses. And wherever you are on that track already, we'll walk you out of it. So today, I'd like to share with you certain stressors you need to avoid if you must not go the way of sudden collapses. I remember a popular king said, "So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our heart to wisdom." Wisdom is necessary in our day-to-day lifestyle. When you don't add wisdom, you simply just presume over issues and say, no, my body is used to it. I've been sleeping like this for 2 hours for the past 35 years and nothing is wrong with me. Some of you even eat without drinking water, and some of you drink water wrongly. All these issues are part and parcel of what adds to our stress. So what are your stressors? Issues that makes you liable to stress, and around you, of course, and surrounding you. One is ignorance, not knowing what to do. Please avoid ignorance. Ignorance is knowing what to do and failing to do it. Number 2 is ignorance. Ignorance is not an excuse. You hear people say, what I don't know cannot hurt me. That's being economical with the truth, you know. You can be hurt through what you don't know. So please find out. And then you can be so much passionate about others while living your own consciousness in the wind. And then this God is in charge syndrome. Say God is in charge. You are not sleeping well, you are not feeding well, you are not hydrating well. And yet you say God is in charge. Will God come and feed you? Will God help you to drink water? Will God help you to sleep well? God has given us common sense that we should apply. And then poor sleeping protocol. When you don't sleep to time and you don't maintain certain routine in your sleep pattern, it can bring you down in bad stress that leads to sudden collapses. I like to let you know that even the factor sudden collapses is not sudden, like I said. It's an aggregation of so many wrongdoings and violations on our part. Over-bloated schedules without behavioral order, which people call workaholism. And I think workaholism is like close to alcoholism. They are all lism. So please avoid it. Mental arrest. And then bed abuse. You are in bed and then you have your 2 phones ringing on both sides. You say, call me later, I'm sleeping. That's bed abuse. Bed is for sleep, not for telephone calls. Not for reading heavy books and doing analysis that often leads to paralysis. And then personal energy overdraft, where you don't know where to draw the limit. You walk and walk and walk until you are fagged out. That's not good. And then you are exhausted. You wait until you are exhausted. When you break your protocol, you don't eat well, poor dieting, and you wait to be hungry before you eat. That's already a behavioral error. Do the right thing at the right time in order to get the right result. Please walk away from this stressor. Don't wait until you are even thirsty before you take water. Be well hydrated. And to balance this up in a cascade, request our free incentives so that we can help you, your family, your organization, and the institution wherever that you belong, so that we can rid our society of sudden collapses. You know what? I and my critical team are hands-on. Take my number, reach us, so that we can prospect for this and help you cope very well on +234 8035 999 220. Thank you so very much and see you next time. Bye-bye.
You're welcome back from that very valuable segment with Dr. James Komolafe on the behavioral check segment. Of course, like I told you before introducing that segment, it's always a segment filled with tips very valuable health tips to help us get by. Because what is this life without good health? And what is health if it is not balanced mentally, physically, and as Dr. James Komolafe would always say, spiritually also, because it's all of this gamut that makes a complete and happy human being. Now, this now brings us to our interview segment, where, of course, we will be taking a look at a very trending matter that has generated a lot of conversations in different spaces. In the couple of weeks ago, of course, Nigerian media space, both social and mainstream, have been inundated with news about the CBN relocating some of its offices to Lagos. And before that, we heard, that was quickly followed also. It didn't help matters anyway. It was followed by relocation of FAN, that is Federal Airport of Nigeria Airport, back to Lagos, because we have to put it in context. It was in Lagos originally. FAN headquarters was in Lagos until the government of Muhammadu Buhari came into power, and Hadi Sirika, who was the Minister of Aviation, decided to relocate FAN headquarters from Lagos to Abuja. And of course, the present Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, decided that in the interest of the ministry, looking at other factors, the office headquarters should be relocated, moved back to Lagos for operational efficiency and all of that. Now, this has generated a lot of conversation. Matters have arose on this subject matter, and that's why we have invited our own, he can qualify to be called our own in-house analyst, Mr. Wosun. You're welcome. You have not been here this year, have you?
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
I don't know. Maybe once or
this year.
So.
I don't think you've been here. So it's good to tell you Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so how have you been?
It's been great.
Good.
Yeah, I started on a good note. So I would believe that the year is going to be better for Nigeria. Though challenges here and there, insecurity, particularly within and around the FCT, but with the last 2-3 days efforts being recorded by the police and the Minister of FCT, I think we have cause to be hopeful that in the next few weeks we should be able to heave a sigh of relief. So far
so good. So far so good. I like that spirit and I key into it. All right, while we are here, I'm sure you've also been following the news, the trending stories around government decision to relocate, first of all, some key CBN offices, including Banking Supervisory Department of the CBN, to Lagos. And of course, that didn't generate as much conversation as when Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development decided to say FAN headquarters, that the Federal Airport of Nigeria headquarters, should be moved back to Lagos where it was originally. Let's start with the CBN. Okay. Are you convinced with the reasons given by the CBN for this relocation?
Okay, my brother, I think I will start by saying, as a nation, as Nigerians, what do we really want? It's a public knowledge, everybody's aware that we have different tribes in this country. We have different people coming together to form a nation. And if we must go along to achieve the desires, the dreams of our founding fathers, I think we must do away with certain things. Each time that a government in power decide to do certain things, and the people who are possibly their own tribe or ethnic are
not beneficiaries,
not even benefiting now. They are not the one in government. We always have this suspicion that possibly this move this action is targeted at us, or it will not be beneficial to us, and because of that they raise the flag. But coming back to the pointed question, if you look at CBN, the department that is affected is basically the supervisory department.
Yes.
And I think people who don't go to school in Nigeria know that 95% of the banks in Nigeria have their headquarters in Lagos. And if you want to check the books, you want to supervise what a bank does, I don't think that should be done at the branch. That shouldn't be done at the regional office. It should be done at the headquarters of
the
those banks. So if those people that are supposed to now do those work, they are actually here in Abuja, and each time they need to do their work, government will have to spend extra code, apart from certain other expenses, to ensure that that work is done outside their salary. And this had been like that for several years. And somebody comes into the office and felt like, can't we have a second look at this?
Yes.
Can't we do this differently, and that we spend less? Okay, we have office in Lagos, where these people who are working here in Abuja can actually be accommodated. As a matter of fact, as time goes on, we can even decide to expand it. So why don't we relocate this department whose primary work is actually in this location?
Yes.
Can't we relocate them to where they ordinarily supposed to be? And they've given them, in fact, at the time it came to the public, we learned that the memo has been served to the concerned staff. In fact, the cost of the hardship allowance and whatever that have been paid to the concerned, but because a few of them, just like the number of articles I've read now, one was even issued by a notable northerner who had served in CBN before, but who didn't come from a privileged family. Yes. So he shared his experience. I read it yesterday. And because of those children of the big wigs, so to say, who believe that working in our CBN is doing Nigeria a favor, and therefore they can decide where to work. So when you want to move them from Abuja, the seat of power, to any part of Nigeria, they see that as inconvenience. Yes. So because of their noise, their fathers, you know, anything that trades on two things in Nigeria, you have sympathy: religion and ethnicity. No matter the content, no matter the trust of the matter, the moment you introduce any of these, people will, there will be a bad wagon effect of how people will react to it. Whether the reason they are giving is actually genuine. Because when I listen to somebody that I think supposed to know, somebody that I respect so much, that I believe when he speaks a number of times, I always like to listen. In the person of Senator Alim Dume, I was highly disappointed. I felt like that that interview shouldn't have taken place in the first place. Because when you went to the extent of saying, and before I even go into that, people have been asking, why are the Arewas or the Northerners so concerned about this? The Abuja we know is Gwari's place. It's owned by, like somebody wrote in his article, it's neither Fulani nor a Muslim environment.
It's in the north.
Is it? No, not is. When you say north, north is not just the Hausa Fulani. There are a lot of people in the north. So why are they making it look like it is our land and therefore we will protect whatever this land belongs to all Nigerians? Okay, let me just pause. By the virtue of before you pause me, by the virtue of the law that set up this FCT in I think around 1976. Yes. The committee was headed by a Yoruba man. Something Aguda. That's the name of the man who headed that committee that recommended FCT as the proposed FCT, the capital of Nigeria. And this man did it because ordinarily a Yoruba man shouldn't be at the forefront of championing the cause of relocating the federal capital from Lagos.
As if we are going by that sentiment that you are trying to debunk.
Yes. But this man felt like, no, alongside the people that they work together, and said, let's take the capital of Nigeria to the center of Nigeria. And that was how this place was located. And the indigents were paid certain things to resettle them for compensation and all that. And the place became the property of Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it means an average Nigerian, no matter where you come from, whether from the west or from the east or from the north, you have equal allegiance, equal claim on the land called Abuja, and nobody should try to personalize it and make it look like it's an Hausa or Fulani hegemony that should determine what happens in this place. You know, one of those things that have been happening over time is people believe that an FCT minister should be from this part of the nation. Okay,
so that we stay on the conversation.
Okay, let's go ahead. But I think we are still on the conversation.
Of course, so that we stay on the conversation. You know, you've laid a solid background to this conversation, that you use the word few people.
Yes.
And it's these few people who are affected by this decision that are making the loudest noise. Because I always want people to disintegrate what we refer to as the North. Because anytime these conversations come up, especially that are politically inclined, then you hear about the North says no to this, the North wants this, the North accuses this of that. Now, apart from Ali Ndume and a few other people who call themselves groups,
like Ariwa Youth,
so-called Ariwa. I am a youth from the Ariwa extraction. Because anytime I hear all of this,
but the guy is known for that anyway. The Ariwa Youth leader is known for it.
Exactly. So
I remember when towards the end of Buhari's government, when the APC was saying they are looking for where the next candidate will come from.
Yes.
It was one of those people who said there is nothing compelling Buhari to hand over to a Southerner. So he has this penchant for...
You know, there are people who have
I want to throw your part. And I think I would like to say that we have seen notable Northerners, elites. And among them is the former emir of
the 14th
Kano.
emir of Kano.
The 14th emir of Kano.
So that's where I was actually driving at.
Muhammadu Sanusi.
So voices like that should also be amplified.
No, it's very amplified. In fact, it gives Nigerians the reason to feel like those others who were shouting at the top of their voice.
You can count them. You can count them. And like you said, you read articles.
He said in his own response that ordinarily he wanted to do the same thing as a sitting CBN governor when he was there.
Okay.
That for somebody to be able to do it now, he felt that's a great thing to have been done. And a number of other people, Northern Senators Forum, have also come out to say Ali Ndume was speaking on his own. He was not speaking for the North. No, I'm not. My earlier submissions were not saying. I'm only saying that a few of them who always, okay, for example now, it's not part of what we are discussing, but it's still part of it. Like two people in the last few days released a statement saying because one Northerner, maybe a Fulani, who is happened to be a kingpin, a Fulani person, was arrested in one part of the nation, and they are threatening the whole nation. That if government does not release the guy, every community in Nigeria will hear it. And they are coming for Nigeria. That what they are saying now will be a child play. Who does that? Who does that? And these people will tell you they are speaking on behalf of an ethnic group.
But
it's not true. It's not true.
So
we see a number of Fulanis, Hausas in this nation who are fine Nigerians.
Exactly.
Doing great things. And some of them will even They will be ready to die to hold Nigeria together.
Okay. Like, sorry, let me just hold your thought. If you go on the streets of Kano, go on the streets of Katsina, Sokoto, I'm mentioning the core northern states, go to streets of Maiduguri to do a census, because whether we accept it or not, it's not only those who speak on TV and write on the newspaper that are northerners.
Of course, yes.
Even someone who is pushing wheelbarrow and is a northern. Go and ask him, what do you think about relocating the CBN Supervisory Department to Lagos? And hear what he will tell you. That's if he even understands what you are even saying. But when these people come to TV and have the platform to speak, and they say, and they speak, those who don't want to tell the part of truth will say he's speaking on behalf of the North.
You know the worst. You know the worst thing.
So,
you know the worst thing.
Yes.
Ali Ndume went to the extent of threatening the sitting president.
Of course, you know, if you have read the article, you know he has a daughter in CBN.
To reverse that policy or that action, that there will be consequences.
Of course. So you asked,
and the guy asked him, what consequences? He said there will be political consequences. So, and he also went, the guy, he said so much in that interview. He said, is it Lagos that made the president? Is it the Yoruba people?
So you can understand where he's speaking from.
I don't understand.
So Ali Ndume,
these are the people that are supposed to know. Yes. They're supposed to. And the guy was even saying that you heard the committee on Army. So if somebody at that level, and again deputy, I think it's deputy leader of Senate.
Yes.
And you have lost sense of.
And even he's a ranking senator, as they call them.
You just open your mouth and talk anyhow, as if you are a common Nigerian. I'm sorry, it's quite, it's far below the belt.
So part of the matters arising is what I want Nigerians to understand. You hold Ali Ndume by his comments. Ali Ndume speaks for himself. A lot of notable northerners, and even those not so notable, have come out to say, this is not my position. I have nothing to do with what Ali Ndume has said. We can't also wish away the fact that he is directly concerned now about this, not because he cared about where the office is, but because there is a political statement to be made, and of course there is also a personal anger to be vented. We understand that he has a daughter in the CBN who also is affected in the department and all of that. And she's not too comfortable with moving to Lagos and all of. So that's why I say your foundation for this conversation was solid. It's just a voice of
one thing I didn't say to you.
Yes.
5 years ago, I had a client. I went to meet him in a room, his hotel room. And I told him about certain things, and he said, even you, young man, that if you want to work in CBN, I can help you. Unfortunately, you didn't come on time. That seat where you are sitting down, that's where Emefiele's PA came to deliver 5 appointment letters. Because this is what Emefiele did to us as a nation. Children that went to school in abroad, that were not even interested to work in CBN, you handed them a job they were not prepared to do, that they are not ready to give anything to.
But didn't Emefiele just come to continue a tradition?
So yes,
he just came to tradition. Not just in CBN.
No, I'm only saying that you will understand why these children are not ready to leave Abuja.
Exactly.
To Lagos, so they are not taking them to Port Harcourt, they are not taking them to Ilorin, they are not taking them to Maiduguri.
For an average northerner, Abuja is the peak of it. If you are not in Dubai, you should be in Abuja.
And when they take you out of Abuja to any part of Nigeria,
any other part of Nigeria, you are not in Nigeria. Exactly. So you now understand those who are concerned. It's not me and you that are working in CBN.
It's not.
Like I said earlier.
Wait, an average northerner. A young northerner, or even whether young or a bit average now, average age now, who is working in that system, but who is not coming from a godfather or somebody in government, does not have any reason to complain.
Exactly.
You are grateful to Nigeria.
True.
But because of these spoilt brats.
Now you are talking. Because the issue is this.
No, I went that far because of what Ali Ndume did.
Exactly.
But ordinarily I understand that the concept here is that everything is around efficiency.
True.
So we just want to say, how can we do this job better and spend less? That's the idea about this
relocation.
So the CBN governor Olayemi Cardoso is not here to do any
Abracadabra.
abracadabra or to deal with a section of.
Exactly.
Because I believe that apart from this whole issue we are talking about now, the people in that department, they are not only populated by northerners.
Exactly. So
There will be people from the south there
definitely.
who also ordinarily don't want to move back to Lagos because possibly in the last 10 years their families are here,
Yes.
everybody is here. So when you say they should move to Lagos, everybody will feel the pain. It's normal. Everybody wants
Relocation is normally.
So you can't dictate to your employer where to work
Because
your
that's the
employer is
question.
going to tell you where you will work.
That's the question I asked someone. That okay, all this noise, does that mean that all this while, so that department is populated by northerners alone?
It's not possible.
And if that is the case, how many of them have actually come out? Because like you said, this memo came out as far back as when, and people have even relocated already.
Some people have gone already.
They have gone, so they are settled, they have commenced
Because
work.
those people don't have godfathers. They didn't complain.
It's not even in their place to make any
But
noise.
some of them, because they now gave them deadline that so time you have to go.
Yes.
So, and they have options. Either you go or you leave the
You
job.
leave the job.
So, and because they don't want to leave the job,
Yes.
they believe they are godfathers
When
and
they
the
talk,
political
they will force-
influencers should be able to make this noise.
Yes.
So that government will be fast. And they've forgotten something. And I think I need to say it there. Governments are different. People who occupy that position of power are also different.
Very different.
We have seen in this nation when a president will come up with a policy and people will shout, and without even
reverse.
thinking about it, the policy will be
Will be
withdrawn.
withdrawn.
It has to do with the character of the people who occupy that office. And I can say to Ndume and his co-travelers on that route that the current president is not a chicken-hearted
No,
president.
it's not. It's not.
So if he would do that, he would have done it on subsidy removal, not on a very
Flimsy matter.
flimsy. God bless you. Give me that word.
One thing.
So
one thing I've drawn people's attention to with respect to the present occupant of Aso Rock is that this is a man who, during the most sensitive time of his career, which is while he was campaigning to be president of this country, that was when he talked about subsidy. He said, "I will remove it, and I will win this election."
And he said, no matter how many days
How many you protest? You understand?
it won't change.
That was the most sensitive period that a politician will lie to your face just so that he gets what he wants from you.
You're
But he
right.
was bold enough to say that back then. Now that he's in power, that he'll be intimidated by your rants,
By your threats.
by your threats, which does not even hold water. If you pull everything Alain Dume said on a scale of reason, it will fail. It weighs it has no weight, because you keep asking, is this man truly fighting for the interest of the North, or there is another thing that he is fighting for?
One of those
in
things
any
people
case?
are also saying is that possibly what he wanted in this government, he has not gotten it. But now that you mentioned the issue of the daughter, I can understand.
Perfectly.
Some of these children are spoiled, like I said earlier. They can push their parents to do anything.
Exactly.
So, and when the pressure is coming from the daughter, the father felt like, I think I need to speak out, so that at least, if not for anything, this girl will be satisfied that at least I pushed.
And sometimes these things come from very misinformed positions. Misinformed in the sense that.
Or can you say somebody of his stature?
It's possible. My father will always tell me when I'm praising somebody. I think
I agree with you, because he was also saying in that interview that if it is about that, now why can't we relocate it to Nasarawa, to Kaduna? And I'm asking myself, what will supervision department of CPM be doing in Nasarawa or Kaduna?
Maybe the headquarters of banks are there.
So I can agree with you that misinformation or lack of it
exactly
will actually explain.
So some of these things are from very misinformed positions.
When I was in the university, my friend, we used to joke, we say some people display academic aridity.
Exactly.
So it's not about position.
It's not.
Ignorance can actually cut across. But about the other one, the fan. I like your introduction. You lay very good, and that is what a journalist should always be doing. You made us to understand that it's not as if Kayamu just wake up and say this thing should go to Lagos. It has always been in Lagos. The question now is that what were the reasons canvassed by Adi Sirika in 2019 when he was proposing to Muhammadu Buhari that this fund should come to Abuja? Because just like the same way we talk about CBN, 70% or above
of the
flight operations, flight traffic in Nigeria happens within Lagos. But Lagos is the flight hub, aviation hub in Nigeria.
Of course.
So if there is an agency of government
that regulates
the affairs of that operation, where should they be ordinarily? Where should they be ordinarily? And besides, it's a different thing if that is just happening now. If after Tinubu had become president, it's when they are now thinking of taking it back, taking it to Lagos. It will have been a different thing, but it has always been there. Possibly the same way how the Serica saw it and felt like, okay, maybe for ease of communication between his office and the people who head that place, he brought it to Abuja. And this other guy who came now felt like, I think their work, their regulations, their regulatory functions is actually more important than proximity to the seat of power.
Of course.
So possibly that could explain why they are taking it back to Lagos. And just like we said earlier, among the people working in this place will be people of diverse backgrounds, of ethnicity, of religion. So why is it a section of the country also making noise about this? But I want to correct that. Not a section of the country, a few individuals. So why these individuals, why are they making noise about all this? And I want to say that where I started from, we must begin to look at the project Nigeria as a collective project. And we should run away from centrifugal forces and concentrate on centripetal forces. We should dwell more on things that bring us together and run away from things that separate us. People who have opportunity platforms to speak about things that bind us together, they should do more. People who have the opportunity to also speak about the current project in Nigeria, they should show some level of patriotism. Because situation where people just come on here and say things that could anger, even if they are minorities, they should have I think on the whole, I would say the two issues, CBN and FAN, for me, the reasons adduced by those who took those decisions, they are very reasonable. Except you want to be mischievous about it, the reasons are very, very credible. And that has not stopped. Okay, in the course of all these whole arguments, somebody said almost all institutions of military in Nigeria are located not in the north,
in the north,
in just a few locations. Kaduna is the chief beneficiary of most of these things we are talking about. So what's special about Kaduna? That's the question. But if people over the years have said, okay, maybe military have reasons why they do that, and nobody is making noise about it, why should one or two departments, not even a row, and some people have amplified it to mean that there is a sinister plan to relocate Nigerian federal capital back to Lagos.
Those are just some extensions of the mischief, like you said. You know, there are people who at all times they wear political lenses. Some wear ethnic lenses. So anything that anything that the government of the day does, they only see it through those lenses. Yes, and the unfortunate thing is that these are people who have access to platforms to speak, and when they speak, the tendency to assume that they are speaking on behalf of a region or an ethnic group or a religion is always very, very high.
I want to say it, sir, that they do this deliberately.
Deliberately, of course. It's a shield. Yes, it's a shield. We know how it's been working for some groups and all of that. But going forward, you've already started by calling on, us, all of us, on the things that we should do in the interest of Nigeria, which is, of course, to drop these lenses and focus more on the project Nigeria. Now, of course, we did talk about the character of the president, that he's not someone who chickens out because of this type of furrows and all of that. But we have also seen that he is a very listening president, of course, in the sense that you look at what happened in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
You may also adduce to that he's a listening person, of course, that he knows he will see reasons to reverse that.
Okay, we'll wait for that. But the point where I was going is that we saw when the public rose and spoke out loudly on the corruption allegations going on in a particular ministry, that the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, the president didn't even waste a minute to respond swiftly. Going forward, would you, advocate for this type of response, especially by those in power, particularly the office of the president, and including governors?
The challenge Nigeria faced in the last 8 years before the advent of this government was not because our economy was bad or insecurity was high or something. For the time President Muhammadu Buhari, in his innocency, I need to underline that, because he didn't do it because he didn't love the country. This is a country he fought for as a general. Yeah. He rose through the rank to become a general. So it's a country he loved so much. But I talked about the character of individual. People who have worked with Buhari will tell you that, in fact, his friend, Buba Galadima, said it on television that Muhammadu Buhari didn't know how to settle fights among his children. They would rather leave them. So that's his nature. He doesn't go to the extent of saying, I give you an assignment and you
do it.
But fortunately for Nigeria today, we have another one that's like a Mourinho as a coach. Even when you are playing, he wants to play with you.
Yes.
Fashola had come out to say a lot about his relationship with his former boss and how, and anybody wants to work with him, how they must be prepared. A few days ago, I heard this special advisor in charge of policy harmonization. This guy, this lady, Hadiza
Bala Usman.
She was saying that there might likely be shifting of table,
cabinet reshufflement
ongoing as we speak now. A 140-member committee has been set up that will review the performances of the minister. Somebody will ask, we didn't have many months. So it means the president does not have the patience.
He doesn't have it
to wait for you for 1 year for you to prove whether you are active or you are delivering or not. He said it that there will be a reviewing of their performances, and those who do not see the vision that they will afford to possibly bring them closer and open their eyes. But those who don't do at all, who don't perform at all, they will be shown the exit door.
I think the president said that clearly.
So
during the
we are not surprised that that is happening already. And like where you started from, responding to people, the outcry during the Ulabalu around the Ministry of Humanitarian. I can say the decision was taken that time in pain. If you know the relationship between Betta Edu and Mr. President.
Yes.
Because this young lady went all out during the campaigns. She did everything human being could do to ensure the enthronement of this government. So for such a person to be the first casualty of it could be a statement.
Thing. It's a statement also.
Because the president wanted to make a statement to convince Nigerians that he's not ready to abhor corruption in this government and that there will be no sacred cow. He went to do the needful, suspended her and commissioned an inquiry immediately into the activity. In fact, he went again to get special investigators to not just stop at what happened, but to review all the activities of the whole and come up with recommendations. He set one for that, and another one headed by the coordinating minister of the economy, Wale Edu. So when you look at those actions, you see a president who is not ready to take excuses. And I was saying in a forum recently that people who work under this president, I think they should sit well. They've seen enough signals. And if any one of them, and one of those things they also need to do is that the idea of the minister, the palm sec doesn't matter. It's palm sex. Some of them are even old enough to be your father, to be your mother. So what an elderly person will see while sitting down, you as a young person may not see it with all your powers.
Even if you climb
when you climb the upstairs. So it's important that some of them calm down. Let them do the work and take counsels. It doesn't make you subservient to the PAMSEC. But because they have experience over the years, you should always allow them to advise.
Yeah.
Well, I want to believe that if Better Edu has been able to do that, she wouldn't
She would have been
run
guided
into certain things she later ended up running into. So what I will say is that the president should sustain the tempo.
Okay.
He should listen more to the people, but in listening, he should not be blackmailed
Exactly.
into taking a popular decision, irrespective of whether it's the right or wrong decision. A leader is known to take hard decision when he says that at the end of the day it will be to the general good of the society. It doesn't matter whether some people will be hurt with that decision, but as long as your conscience satisfies that at the end of the day
It's for
the
the good of the
generality
public.
or the majority of the people will benefit from that decision, other than a few oligarchic group. So I want to believe that the president has what it takes to continue, but at the same time the policies that have a kind of negative effect on the people, like the one we are still going through, the subsidy removal and all that, all the things promised to alleviate those issues that come with it, to reduce them to. We have not seen much of that. So I still want the president to do something.
Okay.
And our forex, we just saw this morning that $500 million have been cleared again to support and to strengthen our
Naira.
We want to see more of that. We want to see repatriation of money made by foreign entities, which is giving some of them concern to continue to do business in our environment. So we want to see more of that. We understand that the economy is not really smiling, but government should be focused. Government should be genuinely concerned about what people are going through, because government is all about people.
Yes.
So it's not just about pronouncements. You must make pronouncements that is in tandem with the welfare
of the
government.
people.
Is all about welfare and security of the people, and that should reign paramount in the heart of our president. We wish you the best of luck.
And, and on this note, I have to also wish you the best of luck. But before that, I have to thank you very much, Mr. Boswade, for gracing our show this morning with this very deep insight into the issue of conversation. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for having me.
And on this note, we draw the curtains on this segment of the program to go join the Investment Plus team with the investment where we get to listen to some financial tips on how to be financially smarter. Financial management, like we say, is very, very key, particularly in these very interesting economic times. Do stay with us. We'll be right back after that segment.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Investment Plus. Today, we're going to uncover the real reason why so many of you find yourselves struggling with your finances. It is actually time for you to confront that truth and empower yourself to make the necessary change that you have to make. Imagine this. You work so hard, long hours, every morning you have to wake up early, rush to the workplace, and then you come back month on month, your account remains empty. Now that's frustrating, and I know you agree with me. So today let's look at a few reasons behind our financial struggles and uncover the path to a brighter financial future. Now, reason number one is the lack of financial education. Think about it. So how much time did you spend learning about money in school? Now the interesting thing for me with this is that we all go to school, come out of school, to go make money, yet while in school we are not taught much about making money. And that is very sensitive, because when you graduate from school, for example, personally, when I graduated and I started to work, I was a very brilliant student. I knew all the maths and the statistics. I never got a B. But getting to the workplace, I was always broke. It's about numbers, but I didn't have the right financial education. So you have to break free from the chain of ignorance. So you were not taught in school is not enough excuse. You were not taught at home is not enough excuse. You have to, on your own, look for financial education that will help you, equip yourself to start creating wealth. So that's the first reason. Reason number 2 is the temptation for instant gratification. Now, there's the law of impulse buying and keeping up with the latest trends. I mean, if you look everywhere around you, TV, social media, you're always bombarded with all sorts of things that would easily bounce you off if you don't build discipline. So people keep falling into that trap of wanting everything right now, right now, right now. But you forget something. Real wealth building takes time. Nobody creates wealth gratifying instant desire. So it's time for you to take a step back, reassess your financial spending, your spending habits, and distinguish between your needs and your wants. You have to be clear what it is you have to focus on now and what you have to put a pause on for later. Reason number 3 is the fear of taking risks. Investing in yourself and your dreams can yield tremendous rewards for you, but only if you conquer that fear and embrace opportunity, particularly if you've ever invested before and you lost monies. It could be that you're not afraid to take that step again, but that's not the right way to go. Because the truth is, when you realize that there's no other way to create wealth but to invest, what you need to do is to start to reassess the risks you take when it comes to investing. So you will have to embrace the concept of risks and start to invest. Now, here's the hard truth. The real reason that you're broke lies within you. It's about taking ownership of your actions and making necessary changes to create a better financial future. But listen closely to this. Being broke doesn't define you as a person. It is merely a temporary situation that can be overcome. I'm sure you've heard stories of a lot of wealthy people that started from nothing, and today they are very successful financially. So it is time for you also to rewrite your financial story, develop a growth mindset, seek financial education, resist the need to gratify your desires instantly, and then fearlessly pursue your dreams. Please remember that change that we're talking about starts from inside. Reflect on your financial choices every time. Identify areas where you need to improve and take action. It won't be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. So rise above the limitations around you, embrace the challenges, and transform your financial reality. Wishing you success in your finances. See you next time.
It's good to have you back from that very, very important segment, Investment Plus. We hope that you've been able to pick some tips that will help you become an efficient financial manager. And it's on this note that we draw the curtains on this today's edition, of Aso Morning on Aso Television. My name is Usman Katun Umar, and I'm urging you to go have a blessed day ahead. See you tomorrow, same time, same station. Bye for now.